Okay, no stranger to our stage, Miss Stephanie Checkley from the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Stephanie, you have been through SalesRocket Live. You were one of the first students through that when we first launched that. You've been in one-on-one coaching since 2023, and of course, you've been through 76 Hard. In 2024, your closed personal production was 60 units. Congratulations, because by the way, go ahead, clap for that. For those that you remember, I think it was a year ago on this very stage, not at this venue, but a year ago here, where you had talked about selling 38 homes that year and that your goal was 60 for 2024. So you hit your goal.
Exactly, to the T.
To the number.
Yeah.
Congrats on that. And your goal for this year is 78 units for 2025. So listen, if I'm in the room and I'm already a producer, I might be wondering, I mean, this is like for beginner stuff. Why would I sign up for 76 Hard? But you did 60 units and you signed up for it. Why?
I signed up for it, so I was exactly tracking for my goal for 2024. It was a really great year, and then I went to a retreat at Traverse City, and people were talking about 76 Hard, and I thought about it, and I thought about the year I had coming up, and my only sister, my best friend in the world, got married in October. I was the matron of honor. She lives in San Diego. I'm out there like 3 times. You know, I knew I had a lot of personal stuff coming up, and I could just kind of see how, you know, I was doing really well. I could see how people could rest on their laurels. I could see how I could use this justified excuse to not do the prospecting, not do the work, and hey, I'll do it tomorrow. So I needed some extra accountability. I already have a lot of accountability. I have an amazing coach, Lee. He has whipped me into shape. He's absolutely incredible. But I needed extra accountability, and 76 Hard provided me with that daily accountability. And you know,
even when you were away, when you're in San Diego.
Even when I was away, sometimes I would do role plays at 4 a.m. It's not 2 a.m. like Latricia, but 4 a.m. was early enough, you know. And I had to show up every single day to do it. And I'm really, really glad I did.
I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, clap for that. Yep. So, Stephanie, I have an idea of obviously one takeaway keeping you plugged in when you knew you had some distractions coming up. Which what I love about that is we talk about, and we've taught this in the Glover U business plan for years, identify anticipated challenges and write out solutions in advance. And you identified a challenge that you knew that would impact your business, and you found a solution for it. Outside of that, what was your number one takeaway for you personally? Again, and obviously you were all producers prior to, but in this particular case, what was your number one takeaway from 76 Hard as someone who was already doing 50 plus units?
I had a number of takeaways. So the first is it helped me get like rock solid on my morning routine. I had a really good morning routine after, you know, taking SalesRocket with you and then getting into coaching, and I got a lot more disciplined with that. But I started just waking up at 5 a.m. It does not come naturally to me, but I just put my phone across the room. So I'd have to get up out of bed to turn it off. And then by then I was up, and then I laid out my workout clothes. So getting like really solid on my morning routine was one big takeaway. And then I got to prepare myself for the day. You know, like I do my gratitude list in the morning, and I've rewired my brain to look for positivity and to look for abundance and prosperity. And I do my workout in the morning. I do my prayer and meditation. I have breakfast with my kids, and then get to work. You know, 8 a.m. I'm hitting the phones. And with 76 Hard, I was already doing a lot of the work. Like every time I meet somebody, I send them a card and say, I really enjoyed meeting you. Here's what I enjoyed. I send thank you cards regularly. I actually have my assistant write them, but I am I'm, you know, saying the content, what she's going to write.
Counts.
It's being sent. And, you know, so I was already doing a lot of those things, but 76 Hard, it probably was like 1 hour more of work than I was used to doing. But the compound effect of that 1 hour extra of work over 76 days, it absolutely catapulted my business. And so I'll give you a few examples of that. In 1 week in 76 Hard, I signed 6 new listings.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's great.
I was super excited. December, which is normally a really slow month in Minnesota, was my second biggest month for commissions earned for the whole year. And then we have something in Minnesota called withheld listings, which is where you signed a listing, but they're just not ready to go on the market yet. So I entered into January 1st, 2025 with 16 withheld listings, and a bunch of them were buy sells. And I owe a lot of that to 76 Hard. So, I was so excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, one thing I'll always remember is, Stephanie, when you took that first SalesRocket Live. How many months or years were you in the business at that time?
It was my first year in the business when I met you.
First year in the business, and it was one of the first times we did SalesRocket Live, which, by the way, for our Minnesota friends, we got another one coming up starting in February, if anyone's in that area, in the Twin Cities area. What I love about and I really honestly believe this is the reason why you're up here today and the reason why you've been up here before, because you accept what we teach with blind faith. And when I remember that class, the Huffmans were there, a few other people were there. You know, we start off every SalesRocket Live with, all right, who's got some wins? Who's got some success stories? Who's got some challenges? Let me hear an objection, something that took place in the last week. And most cases it'd be crickets. Now, they all had them, but people were kind of like embarrassed to raise their hand and so forth. And so, you know, you would look around and you'd kind of be like, okay, well, if no one's going to say anything, you kind of just put your hand up, you know, softly. Say, well, I want to share. I had a unique situation. Okay, tell me about it. Well, last week, I asked you about an expired that came off the market. And, you know, I didn't have any of their contact information. I didn't have this. And you told me to put together this packet. And you told me to just go over there and say this. And I want to let you know I just did that. And here, they signed an agreement with me right on the spot. I mean, literally, this wasn't one time. This was every week. Yeah. She'd say, okay, same thing. I'd start it off. How'd we do? You know, challenges, wins, whatever. Well, you know, because let's just say the next week we worked on For Sale by Owners. Well, you know, I've never really went to For Sale by Owner before. And I asked you, you know, if they don't answer, you know, what should I do and what should I say or what happens when they say this? And I want to let you know I did that and they signed an agreement with me. That was my second listing in 2 weeks. And I've never had listings before. This is amazing. This stuff like really works, Jeff. And so I'll never forget that because you didn't question anything. You just went and did it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's obviously in the examples there. Taylor, we're going to add something to it?
Yeah, I was going to add, you know, one of the things that we teach in 76 Hard is going out on as many appointments as possible, right? Because one of the Gloverisms is, if you didn't go on an appointment today, seriously, what did you accomplish?
Yeah.
And so I think one of your script partners was with you or mentoring you or something in that, or shadowing you, I think he was, on a listing appointment.
Well,
and it really takes it to the next level that you were willing to go on anything when he sent us this photo that we have.
What's?
Adam, if you could put it up.
This is you on a listing appointment. And that's someone's shadowing you and they snapped a photo of you.
Well, I met him door knocking,
Okay.
that man with the no shirt on.
Uh-huh.
And he was kind of intoxicated when I met him, but I still set the appointment. I still set the appointment, but then I said to my friend, I go, I don't really feel safe to go to this appointment by myself, so can you come with me? So he came with me to the appointment, and the man, you know, wasn't wearing a shirt and we were sitting on the sidewalk signing the listing.
Midwest shit right there.
Yeah. But you know what? He needs to sell his house too, and he's a buy-sell too, so, you know, I'm not turning him away.
I love it. That's awesome.
Jeff, I have something else to say about
Please.
SalesRocket. I think about this a lot because that first year I sold 14 units and I felt so busy and I thought like, this is amazing. And I also thought that there was no way that like I was going to be able to do anything more than that. And then, you know, you told me I was going to do way more than that. Like you literally said you are going to do so much more than this.
Yeah.
And so I came to the conferences and I got coaching, and the next year I did 38 units, and then the next year I did 60 units.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing my potential, and I'm realizing that if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't come to the conferences or signed up for coaching, I might never have realized what I was capable of. And I'm still realizing it now, but I think about that a lot, you know, and I'm really grateful.
Well, I'm glad you think about it. Clap for that. Not everyone has the ability to see it that way. And that's something, you know, even challenges that I have on tour stops. I'm literally twisting arms to get somebody to buy a $300 ticket and trying to help them understand you don't realize what this could do for you in the next 18 or 24 months. So thank you for accepting what we teach with blind faith. It's obviously working. Last thing I want to talk about before we go, tell us about your journey. You're still working expireds, all right? Tell us what that looks like, and how are you balancing things as well, going from 60 to 78? You know, your goal is 78 this year. You went from 38 to 60. You can't do it all alone. So talk to us a little bit about balance in your life, how you're balancing things, and also how you're still winning with expireds.
So I remember coming to my first summit like 2 years ago, and people talked about expired. So I signed up with RedX, and then I went and called an expired when I got home. And they yelled at me. They were like so mean, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to call these people again. I just want to deal with my open house people and my hybrid farming and that kind of thing.
The softer stuff.
Yeah,
sure.
like my personality-based business.
Yep.
But then over time, I realized this is a really great business source. These people have put their hand up. They want to sell their house, and they're willing to pay a commission. And so I just need to learn how to do this. So I made a decision. I'm going to call these people. And I just started role-playing that expired script all the time. And at first I was scared calling them, and I would kind of hope they wouldn't answer. And then I started hoping they would answer. And then I just started enjoying the conversations, and I've signed a few expireds, and I'm really excited about it. And the balance is something that's really, really important to me. I have 2 small children at home. They're 3 and 6. My family comes first, and I never want to grow my business at the expense of my family. Having dinner every night together is really important to me. And so I have leverage. I have an assistant. I have somebody who helps me out like kind of part-time with marketing, and I'll be hiring for a showing assistant pretty soon here, actually next week. And my husband was able to leave his corporate job 13 years ago. It was taking him away from our family like 4.5 days a week. And he was able, because I was so consistent with my real estate journey.
Years. His corporate job of 13 years.
So I talked to him for about a year about leaving, and then he was finally able to leave his corporate role and come and join me in business as my head of operations. So he works with me as well. And
awesome.
So that's the leverage that I have at this point.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for all of you guys. Yes, thank you. Nice job. Let's hear it. Nice.